I the jerk for leaving my boyfriend with our baby after he told me I'm a bad mom? My partner 30 male and I 25 female have been together for 4 years and we have a 20-month-old son. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I also have a small creative business for some pocket money. I had a miscarriage 3 days ago. I didn't even know I was pregnant. I was in shock, emotional, crying, moody, and I've been trying to process that grief while still showing up as a mom and partner. My boyfriend didn't comfort me, didn't ask how I was doing, and basically brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. Instead, he's been giving me the silent treatment and acting hostile, saying he doesn't know how to deal with my emotions. Today, I finally asked him what was wrong and he exploded. During the argument, he said, "I need to do more as a mom because I'm not doing enough. I act like my brain doesn't work when he comes home because I force him to be a dad. If I left, he would be able to do it by himself." For context, I handle basically everything for our son. I cook 3 meals a day, clean, do the bedtime routine, read to him, bathe him every night, and I'm still breastfeeding at 20 months. He's my best friend. We've never spent a night apart. My boyfriend has never even bathed him. He works 8 to 6 as a teacher and pays the bills, which he constantly reminds me of whenever money is tight. I also buy groceries and we split the baby's necessities equally. So when he called me a bad mom and said I don't do shit, all while I'm grieving a miscarriage that he clearly doesn't even care about, I snapped, I packed up my things, the things I bought for the baby, the dinner I had just finished cooking, and left. I even texted him the nighttime routine and told him good luck. He says a lot of shit when he's mad that he doesn't remember later, but some things you can't come back from. Now I'm at my mom's house, going through it. I miss my baby so much, but I can't keep dealing with the disrespect and the complete lack of empathy. It feels like I went through a loss alone while he was right next to me. I feel guilty for leaving my baby, but I couldn't take it anymore. So am I the jerk for leaving him with the baby and taking the things I bought? Am I the jerk for telling my husband, "Then I guess this relationship won't work," and taking off my wedding ring after he told me not to talk about his family? My husband, 32 male, and I, 30 female, have been married for 8 months. We've been together almost 5 years, and for the most part, things were good until his brother, 36 male, came into the picture. Some context. My brother-in-law had been living abroad for over 2 decades. He got a decent job overseas when he was young. He stayed there forever and just never came back to the USA until recently. He even attended our wedding by one of those telepresence robots because he didn't want to fly back for a short trip. So I never actually met him in person until after we were married. 6 months ago, brother-in-law got fired from his job and came back here with no place to live, so my husband told him he could stay with us for a little while. That little while has turned into 6 months of him living under our roof with no serious plan to leave. Here's the issue. His behavior toward me makes me extremely uncomfortable. He makes these weird little comments when we're alone like, "You must drive my brother crazy looking like that," or, "If I were married to you, I'd never leave the house." Or, as he told me last week, "My husband is a fool for not showing you off. That's like hiding a diamond Ferrari in a garage." Sometimes he tries to make it sound like a joke, but it doesn't land as funny at all. He has also, accidentally, walked into the guest bathroom while I was in there twice and just shrugged it off. He's overly familiar in texts too, sending winky faces, commenting on selfies I post, in private messages DMs, which also throws me off, and just acting creepy. I've been trying to handle this delicately because I didn't want to start a war between my husband and his brother, especially since he just lost his job. I thought maybe it was just me overthinking it first. But after months of this, I finally sat my husband down and explained what was going on. Instead of listening or even asking me for examples, he cut me off and told me that if I wanted this marriage to work, I cannot talk badly about his family. I just sat there shocked. I asked if he was seriously telling me I couldn't even raise concerns about someone living in our house, and he doubled down. He said, "That's my brother. If you love me, you won't make me choose." So then I just took off my wedding ring right there, set it on the table, and said, "Then I guess this relationship won't work." After that, I walked away, grabbed some stuff, and started sleeping in the guest room. I've been cold and distant since because I honestly don't know how to even look at him the same way. I'm quietly making arrangements to go stay with a close friend for a while because I can't keep living like this. But I haven't told my husband yet. I just need space to think. Of course, word has gotten around his side of the family. His mom and one of his brothers, not the creepy one, have been calling and texting, saying I'm overreacting, dramatic, and trying to break up a family. My mother-in-law actually told me I'm jealous of the bond between brothers. The only people who seem to understand me at all are my 2 sister-in-laws, who both said brother-in-law has always been off, but no one in the family wants to admit it. Now I'm sitting here wondering if I am being dramatic. Like maybe it's not that bad, and I blew up too fast? But at the same time, my husband telling me I can't even talk about his brother feels like a slap in the face. I've been nothing but supportive of him and his family for years. I need like thousands of other opinions right now. especially people who don't know us? Am I just overreacting, or what do you think? Am I the jerk for telling my wife to marry her expletive therapist because I am expletive done? After our oldest son was born, my wife decided to not return from maternity leave and be a stay-at-home mom. 6 months later, we started noticing missed milestones and other concerns. We expressed our concerns to his pediatrician, who said milestones were just guidelines, and not to worry. Around this time, my wife started to get anxious and frustrated more and more. She said something was wrong with our son, and we needed to help him. We went to a second pediatrician, who gave us take-home evaluations to do. They stressed out my wife, who said she couldn't fill them out because she was afraid of accidentally answering wrong. I did my best to fill them out, but since she was the stay-at-home parent, I needed her help on certain parts because some questions were phrased, "How many times per day XYZ?" and I needed information from her to answer that. She got very frustrated during this process and said I wasn't supporting her. The pediatrician diagnosed our son as autistic when he was almost 2. My wife was upset by this, and the pediatrician recommended she see a therapist, as parents of autistic children sometimes struggle, especially the parent who spends the most time with the child. In some ways, that's the last time I ever saw my wife. Her frustration and anxiety only got worse. She's a completely different person now. She only communicates in therapy speak, and she acts like her therapist is God and she is her prophet, carrying her commandments to me from on high to defy at my own risk. Here is an example of some of the insane things her therapist has apparently told her over the years. Our son is emotionally abusive. He was 3 when she said this, because he intentionally withholds affection. I am emotionally abusive because I canceled a date with her after she called me a loser, and I didn't want to spend the evening with her. I am sexually abusive because I told her I didn't want to have sex with her after an argument to punish her. Fights don't get me horny, but that's my fault, I guess. I am financially abusive because I told her I didn't think we could afford another baby, that we ended up having anyway because she wore me down. I am physically abusive because I put my arm out to stop her from walking into the kitchen when I was sweeping glass off the floor. Our son is physically abusive because he accidentally kicked her while throwing a tantrum. He was 5. Those are just a few examples. I have more, but the post is already too long. As I mentioned, she wanted to have another baby. I thought it was a bad idea. I have actually been trying to convince her to go back to work so we can afford specialized care for our son. But even bringing up the idea is, you guessed it, abusive. Well, we had the baby, which I thought was a bad idea, but that's in the past now. Our second son turns a year old soon, and for the past year, my wife has acted like our older son and I are the enemy forces against her and our younger son. She no longer is providing our older son with any care. I had to scale back at work so I could drop him off and pick him up from school, but that wasn't sustainable. We were bleeding money. I finally found an after-school program for him, which is expensive, but it allowed me to work the hours I need to. I told my wife it's not fair to our older son to ignore him and treat him like he isn't around. Obviously, the baby needs more attention, but it's wrong not to give our older child any. It also isn't fair to me because I hardly ever get to interact with our younger child since I have to do all the care for our older child, and she always has the younger. She said her therapist told her that, in a way, our older son actually killed her first baby because he is the disease that replaced him. I said I don't care about her therapist. This is about our family, and she is neglecting us. She said her therapist said neglect was a weaponized term. I told her to marry her effing therapist because I am effing done. I told her I am filing for divorce. She lost it when I said that. She said I can't talk about her therapist like that. I'm trying to alienate her from her support person, and that's abuse. I talked to my friend who is a lawyer to get a recommendation for a divorce lawyer, and he told me it's a jerk thing to do to insult her therapist because therapy is important, and it's not the therapist who told her to neglect our kid, hopefully. This therapist ruined my marriage and turned my wife into a crazy person. How am I wrong for insulting that? But if my own friend disagrees, I guess I might need a reality check. So am I the jerk for telling my wife to marry her expletive therapist because I am expletive done? Like and subscribe for daily Reddit stories. All rights belong to the original author. This video is for narration, entertainment purposes only.